Hello everyone, and welcome back to the History of Scotland. I'm Fraser, your guide through the fascinating tales of Scotland's past. Today we are diving into episode 57, titled Catching Up with the Nobles Part 1. As we embark on this new chapter, we'll take a closer look at the Scottish noble families during the reign of King Alexander II and up to the start of Alexander III's reign, our next glorious king in our tale. This exploration will span 2 episodes, allowing us to delve deeply into the lives and legacies of these influential figures. As you know, in our last episode we bid a farewell to King Alexander II, a monarch whose reign was nothing short of eventful. His achievements were numerous, marking him as a king who was formidable as a warrior as his father William the Lion. Alexander II's reign was characterised by his military prowess, his efforts to consolidate the Scottish kingdom, and his endeavours to secure Scotland's borders. His passing marks the end of an era, but it also sets the stage for a period of significant transition and turmoil, paving the way for the Wars of Scottish Independence. Today, as I mentioned, we are taking a slight detour from this narrative though to catch up with the noble families of Scotland during Alexander II's reign. These episodes are crucial as they help identify and set the context for the forthcoming conflicts and the rise of Scottish national identities. While we have previously touched upon the noble families of Scotland in earlier episodes, this time we'll focus more on the individuals within these families. The approach is a necessity by the wealth of information available about these figures, allowing us to paint a more detailed and nuanced picture of their lives, ambitions and contributions. The nobility of Scotland played a pivotal role in the country's medieval history. Their alliances, feuds and loyalties were instrumental in shaping the political landscape of the time. During Alexander II's reign, the dynamics among the noble families were particularly significant, as many of these families were rising to prominence and consolidating their power. Understanding these dynamics is essential for comprehending the broader historical context, especially as we move towards the Wars of Scottish Independence. In our exploration, we'll look at notable individuals such as the powerful Commons, the influential Bruces, and the strategic Stuarts, among others. Each of these figures had a unique impact on Scottish history, and their actions during Alexander II's reign set the stage for the dramatic events that were to follow. Next week, we will continue the journey by examining the other key figures and the famous clans that rose to further power during this period. So, without further ado, let's jump into the late 12th and early 13th centuries and immerse ourselves in the lives of the noble families of Scotland. Through their stories, we will gain a deeper understanding of the period and set the stage for the monumental events that would shape Scotland's future. Join me as we uncover the intricate and compelling histories of these noble individuals, whose legacies continue to influence our understanding of Scotland's rich and complex past. So, let's start with Walter Comyn, Lord of Badenoch. Who was Walter Comyn? Walter Comyn was a significant figure in 13th century Scotland, emerging as a formidable noble and political leader. He was the son of William Comyn, who was a prominent Scottish nobleman himself. Walter first appears in royal charters between 1211 and 1214 AD, indicating his early involvement in the affairs of the Scottish kingdom. By 1220, Walter was accompanying King Alexander II on official visits, such as the King's trip to York to sign the treaty we discussed a few episodes ago. This suggested his growing importance and influence at the royal court. In 1229, Walter is documented as Lord of Badenoch, a title he acquired after his father's victory over the MacWilliams, a rebellious clan that threatened the stability of the Scottish crown, and obviously we told this episode quite a few times ago. The victory solidified the Commons family's power and influence in Scotland. Like his father, Walter secured his status and wealth through a strategic marriage. He married Isabella, Countess of Menteith, an heiress who brought significant lands and titles into the common family. By 1234, Isabella had inherited the marmordom of Menteith, making Walter the Marmorer and Earl of Menteith by right of his wife. Walter's family was marked by the efforts to establish and secure his lineage. He had a son named Henry, who witnessed a charter in 1250, and a daughter, Isabel, who married Gilchrist More. However, Walter's son Henry predeceased him, leading complications in the inheritance of his titles and lands. But how did he become a leading lord during the minority of Alexander III? If you remember at the end of last week's episode, I did mention this. Well, Walter Comyn's rise became one of the leading lords in Scotland was closely tied to the political landscape during the minority of King Alexander III. When Alexander II died in 1249, his son Alexander III was only a young child, too young to rule independently in medieval Scotland. This period of minority required regents and powerful nobles to manage the kingdom and safeguard the young king's interests. Walter Comyn, with his extensive experience, noble lineage and strategic alliances, was ideally positioned to play a pivotal role in the regency. Walter's political acumen and military prowess had already been demonstrated through his early actions and titles. His marriage to Isabella not only expanded his influence, but also connected him to other powerful noble families. By the time of Alexander II's death, Walter had established himself as a dominant figure in Scottish politics. During Alexander III's minority, Walter, along with Alan Duard, who we'd also be touching upon in this episode, essentially ran the country. The regency was marked by internal conflicts and power struggles among the Scottish nobility, but Walter's leadership helped maintain a semblance of stability. And don't worry, we will be discussing the regency and the young reign of Alexander III, so don't worry, that is to come. Walter's tenure as a leading political figure came to an abrupt end when he died suddenly in October of 1258. By this time, his son Henry had also passed away, leaving no male heirs to inherit his titles. His widow, Isabella, remained Countess of Menteith until 1260 to 1261, when Walter Stewart, the husband of Isabella's sister Mary, seized control of the province. Walter Comyn's legacy, however, extended beyond his death. He is remembered in the Scottish folklore, particularly through the proverbial expression Walter of Gayok's curse. According to legend, this phrase originated from an incident where Walter, riding through the forest of Gayok, was thrown from his horse and met a gruesome death, being dragged along by his horse until he was torn to pieces. This story, immortalised in Sir Walter Scott's Rob Roy, served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of power and the whims of fate. Walter Comyn had a significant and influential relationship with Alexander II, marked by mutual respect and cooperation. Walter's early involvement in the royal charters between 1211 and 1214 AD, and his presence alongside Alexander II during the king's official visit to York in 1220, suggests that he was a trusted noble and a valuable ally to the king. His title as Lord of Badenoch by 1229, after his father's victory over the MacWilliam clan, further indicates his importance to the king. This victory played a crucial role in securing the northern regions of Scotland and reinforcing royal authority, thus strengthening Walter's relationship with Alexander II. Walter's actions during Alexander II's reign helped lay the groundwork for the turbulent period that would follow. By securing key territories and establishing a strong base of power, he contributed to the foundations upon which the future wars of independence would be fought. His leadership and consolidation of power among the Scottish nobility were critical in preparing Scotland for the challenges ahead. Although Walter's prominence became even more evident during the minority of Alexander III, his significant contributions during Alexander II's reign ensured that he would remain a central figure in the kingdom's politics, highlighting the long-term impact of his actions and his enduring legacy. We will catch up with the Comyns very shortly during the famous time of strife for Scotland, so stay tuned for that. So, what about Alan Durwood? Well, we obviously mentioned him with the Commons, so let's find out more about our Alan here. Alan Durwood ascended to the prominent position of Justiciar of Scotia through a combination of heritage, political manoeuvring and strategic alliances. As the son of Thomas de London, who was the hostarius or protector of the king's property, Alan inherited a significant role within the royal household. His lineage connected him to two influential Gaelic committal families, as his father was a grandson of Gael Crest, Mormaer of Mar, and his mother was likely a daughter of Malcolm, Mormaer of Athol. This noble heritage provided Alan with a strong foundation for his political career. Alan's participation in the campaign to quell the insurrection of the MacWilliams in 1228 and 29 demonstrated his military capability and loyalty to the crown. By 1233 he had been granted control of the shores of Loch Ness, where he likely oversaw the construction of the earliest motte phase of the Urquhart Castle. His initial styling as Count of Athol around this time reflects his ambitions and recognised status, although this title was not permanent. Despite his unsuccessful attempts to claim the committal titles of Athol and Mar, Alan's influence continued to grow. Alan's rise to the position of Justiciar of Scotia was marked by his rivalry with the powerful Common family, a significant factional conflict within the kingdom. Despite this rivalry, some reconciliation occurred towards the end of his life, exemplified by his joint appointment with Alexander Comyn, Earl of Buchan, as Justiciar of Scotia. His appointment to this high office underscored his importance and the trust placed in him by the crown. Now, a quick reminder, what is the Justiciar of Scotia? The Justiciar of Scotia was one of the most crucial roles in medieval Scotland. It was equivalent to a Chief Justice and head administrator. The Justiciar was responsible for the administration of justice and in the enforcement of the king's laws across the kingdom. This position involved overseeing courts, managing other judicial officials, and ensuring that royal justice was upheld throughout the land. The Justiciar acted as the king's principal legal advisor and executor of judicial authority, making this role vital for maintaining law and order in Scotland. Alan was a central figure in 13th century Scotland, known for his political savvy and military prowess. He was born into the influential Durwood family, and he inherited the position of hostarius from his father, which placed him close to the centres of power. Alan's tenure as Justiciar of Scotia highlighted his administrative and judicial capabilities. He played a crucial role during the minority of King Alexander III, again, something we'll touch upon when we get round to him, effectively ruling the country at several points. His alliances, including his marriage to Marjorie, an illegitimate daughter of our late King Alexander II, bolstered his position within the royal court. Alan's career, again marked by the rivalry with the Common family, was a conflict that was reflected broader factional divisions within the kingdom, Celtic versus Norman lords. At the start of Alexander III's reign, Alan was this pivotal figure in the Regency Council that governed Scotland during the young king's minority. Following the death of our late king in 1249, he rose to prominence to serve in the Regency Council and help lead the kingdom along with the Commons. During this time, Alan was actively involved in the political machineries that characterised the Regency. He courted the favour of King Henry III of England to secure his power, even receiving the English manor of Bolsover as a gift from the English king. His efforts to maintain stability and order were crucial in guiding Scotland through this potentially turbulent period. Alan's leadership and administrative skills helped lay the groundwork for Alexander III's eventual assumption of full royal powers, ensuring continuity and stability in the Scottish government. Well, next on our key nobles list is Patrick, Earl of Dunbar. Patrick, Earl of Dunbar, rose to prominence in southeastern Scotland and the borders through a combination of inheritance, strategic marriages and loyal service to the Scottish crown. Born into the influential Dunbar family, Patrick inherited the earldom from his father, Patrick I, who had already established the family's significance in the region. The Dunbars held the title of Earl of Dunbar, which provided them with substantial territorial and political power. Patrick further solidified his influence through the marriage to the daughter of Walter Fitzalan, the High Steward of Scotland. Remember, Walter Fitzalan will also be known as Walter Stewart. This marriage connected him to one of the most powerful families in Scotland, enhancing his status and influence. His loyal service to King Alexander II also played a crucial role in his rise. Patrick's military prowess and his administrative skills were recognised and rewarded by the king, who entrusted him with significant responsibilities, particularly in defending the borders against English incursions and maintaining stability in the region. As the Earl of Dunbar, Patrick held extensive lands in southeastern Scotland, particularly in Lothian and the borders. The core of the holdings included the land around Dunbar, a strategic coastal town that served as a crucial point of defence and control in the region. His lands also extended into the Merse, an area known for its fertile soil and agricultural productivity, which added to his wealth and resources. In addition to these core territories, Patrick's influence extended into other parts of the borders, where he held lands that were vital for maintaining control over the contested regions. His estates included significant castles and fortifications, such as Dunbar Castle, which served as both a residence and a military stronghold. These holdings made Patrick one of the most powerful and influential nobles in southeastern Scotland, capable of exerting substantial control over the region. But during the reign of Alexander II, Patrick played a crucial role in supporting the king's efforts to consolidate and defend his kingdom. He was a loyal and active participant in Alexander II's military campaigns, particularly those that aimed at securing Scotland's borders and suppressing rebellions. Patrick's strategic position in southeastern Scotland made him an essential ally in these endeavours, and he was responsible for defending the borders against English incursions and maintaining stability in the entire volatile region. Patrick's military and administrative contributions were recognised by Alexander, who relied on him for various important tasks. He had participated in the king's campaigns against the rebellious MacWilliam clan, helping to secure the northern regions of the kingdom. Additionally, Patrick was involved in diplomatic efforts, including negotiations with the English crown, aimed at maintaining peace and securing Scotland's territorial integrity. But at the start of the heir of Alexander II's reign, Alexander III, Patrick was an experienced and influential noble, deeply involved in the governance and defence of Scotland. During this time of the, regency, Patrick's experience and loyalty to the crown made him a key figure in the Regency Council that governed the kingdom on behalf of the young king. Patrick's role in this Regency Council also involved advising on matters of state and participating in administration of the kingdom. His extensive experience and deep connections within the Scottish nobility made him an invaluable asset in guiding Scotland through the challenges of a royal minority. As a result, Patrick remained a central figure in Scottish politics and defence, helping to lay the groundwork for Alexander III's essential assumption of full royal authority. Moving onwards, we have, drumroll, Robert de Bruce. Not that Robert yet, though. Robert de Bruce, the 5th Lord of Annandale, was an influential noble in southwestern Scotland and the grandfather of the future Robert the Bruce. Yes, that one. Who would obviously play the pivotal role in Scotland's wars of independence. His actions and strategic manoeuvres during the reign of Alexander II significantly shaped the future of his family and their influence in Scottish history. During the reign of Alexander II, Robert de Bruce was a key ally and supporter of the Scottish crown. His loyalty and service to the king were vital in maintaining stability in southwestern Scotland, a region often fraught with tension due to its proximity to the English border. Alexander. His participation in various military campaigns and his role in the administration of justice highlighted his importance to the king. One notable aspect of Robert's service was his involvement in the campaign against, yes, you guessed it, the McWilliam clan. Seemed like every noble who was close to Alexander II sided with him there. Who would have known? Which obviously, as we know, threatened the northern stability of Scotland. His military leadership and experience were crucial in these efforts. Additionally, Robert de Bruce served as an English diplomat, especially when he was negotiating the treaties with the English crown, a role that required both political acumen and a deep understanding of the complexities of the Scottish-English relations, which we know the de Bruce family is very well known for. The de Bruce family increased their power base in Annandale through a combination of strategic marriages, land acquisitions and loyal service to the Scottish crown. Robert de Bruce's marriage to Isabella of Huntingdon, the daughter of David of Scotland, 8th Earl of Huntingdon, and obviously the king's brother, helped bolster the family's standing. This union connected the de Bruce family to the royal line, enhancing their prestige and influence. Under Robert's leadership, the de Bruce family focused on expanding and consolidating their lands in Arndale. Robert utilised his position and resource to strengthen the family's hold on these territories, establishing a solid power base that would prove crucial in the future. Moreover, Robert de Bruce's loyalty to King Alexander II and his brother David of Huntingdon was rewarded with additional lands and titles, further cementing the family's power. His effectiveness in governance and administration of Arndale set a precedent for the future generations, establishing a legacy of leadership and authority that would be pivotal during the Wars of Independence. But obviously now his family, Robert de Bruce's family, has been tied to the royal family due to his marriage to the daughter of David of Scotland. Again, remember, David of Scotland, Earl of Huntingdon, is the brother of Alexander II. We've already heard quite a lot about him, and don't worry, we are going to touch upon David of Scotland, 8th Earl of Huntingdon, next week. But in short, his daughter married Robert de Bruce, and that's where our future Robert de Bruce, future King of Scotland, would claim his descendant and, his claims from. As we look ahead to the Great Wars of Independence, the de Bruce family, especially Robert de Bruce, the 5th Lord of Arndale, will come into sharper focus, especially when it comes to the Great Course. While this episode doesn't really delve into the intricate details of the war and its outcomes, it's essential to understand the foundation that was laid here by Robert, and their strategic alliances set the stage for the future power plays within the forthcoming Wars of Independence. And as we move forward in our historical journey, the de Bruce family's contribution and legacy will become increasingly central to understanding Scotland's fight for sovereignty. Now, let's move to Alexander Stewart. So this is a part of the Fitzwilliam clan. Or, no longer Fitzwilliam, it's now known as the Stuarts. So this is Alexander the Stuart, 4th High Steward of Scotland. Alexander the Stuart, the 4th High Steward of Scotland, was a significant figure in the Scottish history, succeeding his father, Walter FitzAlan, the 3rd High Steward of Scotland. The Stuart family, known for their unwavering loyalty to the Scottish crown, played a crucial role in the political and military spheres of medieval Scotland. Alexander Stewart, born into this influential lineage, continued the legacy of his predecessors, ensuring the family's prominence and power during a period marked by both consolidation and conflict. The Stuarts maintained their power base and their prestigious role of High Steward through a combination of strategic marriages, loyal service to the crown, and effective governance. Their position as High Stewards, a hereditary title, placed them at the heart of the royal court, responsible for managing the king's household and the estates. This role provided them with significant influence and resources, enabling them to build strong alliances and amass substantial lands. Strategic marriages were a key factor in the Stuarts' ability to maintain and expand their influence. By aligning themselves with other powerful noble families, they reinforced their political connections and secured social standing. For instance, Alexander's father, Walter FitzAlan, person we mentioned previously in this episode, married Beatrix of Angus, thereby strengthening the family's tie to another influential Scottish lineage. Loyal service to the Scottish crown was another cornerstone of this Stuart's enduring influence. The High Stewards were known for their military prowess, but mainly for their strong administrative skills. During the reign of Alexander II, Walter FitzAlan and then Alexander Stewart, 4th High Steward of Scotland, continued to uphold the family's tradition of loyal service and military support to his king. His tenure as High Steward was marked by active participation in the king's efforts to consolidate and secure the kingdom. He was involved in the wars against the MacWilliam clan, and he also key advisor to King Alexander II, providing counsel on matters of state and governance. His experience and loyalty made him a trusted member of the king's inner circle. The Stuarts' ability to navigate the complexities of medieval Scottish politics, combined with their steadfast loyalty to Alexander, maintained a position of influence throughout Alexander II's reign and the start of Alexander III's reign. And as always, the Stuarts will gain more and more prominence in our future story as we progress throughout the centuries. On to the next important member of this episode, William, Earl of Mar. William, Earl of Mar, was a prominent Scottish nobleman and a key figure in the history of the northeastern Scotland during the early 13th century. As the head of the influential Mar family, William inherited the title of Earl of Mar from his predecessors, a title that had been established for generations. The Mar family was deeply rooted in the political and social fabric of Scotland, with their lineage tracing back to the ancient times, and William's tenure as Earl continued this legacy of influence and authority. William held this significant power in northeastern Scotland through a combination of hereditary rights, strategic alliances, and his role within the broader framework of Scottish nobility. The Mar family had extensive lands over the region, and many generations controlled these lands and fortifications that were crucial for maintaining local power. Their stronghold included key territories such as the region around Kildrummie Castle, which served as a central seat of their influence. William's power was further solidified through his strategic marriages and alliances with other powerful noble families. William's effective governance and administration of his lands played a crucial role in maintaining his power. He was able to navigate the complexities of medieval Scottish politics, where many other legendary families failed. This, combined with his military capabilities, allowed him to defend his territories against external threats and internal disputes. During the reign of Alexander II, William was an active and loyal supporter of the king. He was involved in both military and administrative duties, which were essential in maintaining loyalties to the crown, and was demonstrated through his participation in various military campaigns aimed at consolidating the kingdom and suppressing rebellions. Yes, that also included the MacWilliam clan. In short, William was a key noble during Alexander II's time, but he was loyal to Alexander II, and he helped carry on the Normanisation of his lands, even if his legacy would turn in their grave, knowing what he would do. He would eventually serve on the Regency Council, who helped the king provide advice and support on matters of state. Now if we move to Malcolm, Earl of Fife. Malcolm, Earl of Fife, emerged as a central figure in medieval Scotland, primarily through his family's long-standing prominence and his own capabilities. The Earldom of Fife was one of the most powerful and influential titles in Scotland, where the Fife family having a prestigious lineage that included connection to Scottish royalty and other major noble houses. The hereditary office of the Justiciar of Scotia, which Malcolm held as well, was a position of immense power and responsibility. As we know, it was akin to Chief Justice and Head Administrator. This role was typically held by the Earls of Fife, reflecting the family's established status and trust within Scottish politics. He was also crucial, as we know, during the crowning ceremonies. Malcolm's rise to prominence was supported by this political loyalty, and crowning Alexander II set him on the stage to, serving in the royal court. During the reign of Alexander II, Malcolm played a vital role in supporting the king's efforts to consolidate and secure his kingdom. Remember, without the Earl of Fife's support, a Scottish king could not be crowned legitimately. So, with the Earl of Fife supporting Alexander II's reign, Alexander II rewarded Malcolm as one of his most important advisors. Yes, during the early start of Alexander III's reign, the Earl of Fife, Malcolm, was maybe bypassed a bit by the Commons, etc., but he was still crucial to the kingdom's future, especially in the traditional crowning ceremony at Scone. Moving on, we have Roger de Quincey, Earl of Winchester. Roger de Quincey, Earl of Winchester, gained extensive lands in Scotland and considerable influence primarily through his marriage to Helen of Galloway, the daughter of Alan, Lord of Galloway. Alan of Galloway was one of the most powerful magnates in Scotland, controlling vast territories in south-western Scotland. Upon Alan's death in 1234, his lands were divided among his daughters, with Roger de Quincey inheriting a significant portion through his wife, Helen. This inheritance included lands in Galloway and other parts of southwestern Scotland, significantly boosting Roger's wealth and status. The marriage alliance with the powerful Galloway family not only provided Roger with substantial territorial gains, but also enhanced his political influence in Scottish affairs. Roger was primarily loyal to the English crown, however, despite his significant holdings and influence in Scotland. As the Earl of Winchester, his primary allegiance was to the King of England. This dual loyalty was not uncommon among nobles of the period, especially those with extensive lands and interests in both kingdoms. Think of the old de Bruce Lord family during the start of the Davidonian Revolution. Roger's English title and responsibilities meant that he had to balance his interests between the two realms, often prioritising his obligations to the English monarchy. Roger's position as a major landholder in Scotland, while maintaining allegiance to the English crown, created a delicate situation. The king was concerned about the potential for English influence and interference in Scottish affairs through nobles like Roger. These tensions were exacerbated by the border context and the broader conflicts of the Anglo-Scottish borders, which were often fraught with conflict and rivalry. Despite these concerns, Roger de Quincey managed to navigate the complexities of this dual loyalty system with considerable skill. He maintained his Scottish lands and influenced his English duties as an earl. However, the inherent tension in his position required careful diplomacy and often placed him at the centre of the delicate balancing act between the two powerful British kingdoms. And last but not least, we have Duncan, Earl of Carrick. Duncan, Earl of Carrick, became a powerful noble in the southwestern part of Scotland through his inheritance and strategic alliances. As the son of Gilbert, the previous Earl of Carrick, Duncan inherited the title and lands associated with it upon his father's death. The Earldom of Carrick was a significant and influential territory in southwestern Scotland, encompassing lands that were both strategically important and economically productive. Duncan's position as Earl provided him with substantial resources and a strong power base for which he could exert his influence across the entire region. In addition to his inheritance, Duncan's power was bolstered by his ability to navigate the complex political landscape of Scotland. By forming alliances with other influential noble families and maintaining loyalty to the Scottish crown, Duncan ensured that his position remained secure. His strategic marriage to Evelina, a daughter of the prominent Galloway family, further strengthened his ties to other powerful families in southwestern Scotland, thereby enhancing his influence and securing his power base. He was a key ally during Alexander II's reign. Yes, he was involved in the campaigns against the rebellious MacWilliam's clan, but he also helped lead the military during other expeditions. And Duncan's governance of Carrick ensured that the region remained stable and loyal to the crown, contributing to the overall security and consolidation during the kingdom of Alexander II's reign. One notable aspect of Duncan's legacy, however, is his connection to the future Bruce dynasty. Duncan's daughter, Marjorie, married Robert de Bruce, the 5th Lord of Arndale. This union brought the Bruce family into closer association with a powerful Carrick earldom. Eventually their son, also named Robert, would become Robert the Bruce, one of Scotland's greatest kings and central figure in the Wars of Independence. This marriage significantly influenced the political landscape of Scotland, as well, the power and influence of the Carricks and Bruce families would play a crucial role in the future struggle for independence against the English. Duncan's effective management of his territories and these plays at strategic alliances ensured that his legacy would have a lasting impact on Scottish history. His support for Alexander II and his ability to maintain stability in Carrick during a period of potential turmoil demonstrated his capability as a leader and as a noble. And Duncan's family, the Carrick family, would play a prominent role with his descendants in the future fight for sovereignty. Well, we'll leave things here this week. We've journeyed through the lives and legacies of several influential nobles who shaped Scotland during the reign of Alexander II and the start of Alexander III's reign. Now, I've already mentioned it, but I know we haven't touched upon him yet, but next week we'll be covering David, Earl of Huntingdon, the brother of William the Lion. His connections to both the Scottish and English thrones make him a fascinating figure, and his story is essential for understanding the broader political dynamics of the period. And yes, that is a correction. David was a brother of William the Lion, not the brother of Alexander II. That's where I got things wrong, so that's a bit of a correction for you to end the episode in. Anyway, next week we're also going to continue our exploration with other Scottish noble families. We'll dive into the lives of other key figures and famous clans that rose to further power during this period. This will help set the stage for the eventual Wars of Independence and provide deeper insights into the foundation of Scotland's medieval power structures. After these 2 episodes on the noble families, we have more special episodes planned before we return to our political narrative of Alexander III. We'll explore topics such as the Parliament of Scotland in the 13th century in episode 59, and then the intricate dynamics between lords, clans and merchants in episode 60. These episodes will enrich our understanding of Scotland's political and social landscape during this transformative period before we get to the inevitable blood, death and turmoil in Scotland. Anyhow, I've been ranting long enough now. Our podcasts are released weekly and the next episode will be available some point next week. We typically release 3 episodes each month, so there's always something new to look forward to. But next week's episode will be the last episode in May, and then we'll start again in June. Remember, if you can, give us a follow on Twitter at the History of SC1. That is at the History of SC1, or join our ever-growing Facebook page at the History of Scotland podcast, which has over 100 members now. Your feedback and engagement help us grow and bring more exciting content. So, if you can, please leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. It really helps us reach more listeners. And you can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and many other great podcasting sites. All that's left to say, guys, is have a great week, stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Till then, peace.